Hello, my loves. Hello, my friends. How are you guys doing today? So, I want to talk about how attachment is the source of a lot of our suffering. Attachment towards people, places, and things. And I first want to start off talking about attachment towards like people and relationships. I feel like, wanting to be in love, wanting to have friendships, love in all aspects, like platonic, romantic, because we're looking for love outside of us, right? Because a lot of us don't really know how to find the love within. Because remember, as I said previously, love isn't external from you. You are love. Love is you. You're the definition of love. We just express love here through many different ways. And one of the ways we express it is through romantic relationships, platonic, family love, like, you know what I mean? And so we express it that way. But a lot of us feel like we need to find it externally from us in order to make it feel as if we are worthy, we are important. And so when we are coming to the stages of the end of like a relationship or a friendship or a job or a situation, right? It's hard. A lot of us don't want to leave because we have this attachment towards this person or situation. And we don't really know who we are without this person, right? So then we allow mistreatment over and over and over again because of that attachment. That attachment is the source of your suffering. Like a lot of people, or not a lot of people here with our ego, right? Because the ego isn't bad, but we do have an ego, and the ego tells us that we need to fight for something, even if it has gone toxic, even if it's not the best for our mental health. And you know those relationships where people are fighting for the relationship and they're staying because they're afraid to leave, because they have that attachment, because they don't know who they are without this person. They don't know who they are, the definition of themselves without this attachment. We cause suffering by staying instead of moving forward and releasing. I do believe that, there are, honestly, there are people who come into this world who kind of like want to like love each other for the rest of their lives. I get that that's part of some people's mission here, I suppose. Not mission, experience, journey. But I do believe though that a lot of us come in here to learn from relationships. We come in here to learn from relationships, and we think because the human brain says to fight, we think we gotta stay. They're like, oh, we were young, this and that, and they're so unhappy, and it's because you're not meant to be with that person for the rest of your life, to be honest. And it's an attachment, and that was meant to teach you in that phase of your life. You're meant to learn and let go. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, and I know a lot of people, it's a very human thing to think that you gotta fight, 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 fight for something that has gone rotten, right? And not rotten in a negative sense, it's just it ran its course big time. And I was fault to that. I thought that I needed to stay in a relationship like that. So that's why I'm saying this is, we cause our own suffering by attachments big time. And I know because when I left an attachment, I found myself again, and it was beautiful. And it's like you come here to learn uh, reflections of yourself, right? We look in other people reflections. And so a big way for us to learn in the human world here is through romantic relationships, because a lot of us want to find love. Hollywood always talks about love. Hollywood always talks about all this stuff. So I think we knew that one of the ways we're going to learn is through obviously childhood shit, right? But relationships. And so we choose to come in here with to get a little bit off topic, right? We choose to come in here with this soul that we have a contract with. And this contract that we have with this soul, they say, you know what? I'm going to come in here to teach you this, to teach you self-love, and you're going to come in here to teach me empathy. And that's the most selfless thing we can do, honestly. That's the most selfless thing we can do. And to talk about, I've been wanting to talk about this, to talk about my past relationship with my ex that I had left. He was like my best friend. That relationship was from like 18 till 25 on and off, and we were more like best friends. It was really weird. We never held hands, we never said I love you. It was like that was my best friend, and it was an attachment. It was an attachment, and I'm very grateful for the times that we spent because we were both young and we were both growing, and it wasn't the best relationship. We both went through a lot of shit, and it hurt. And you guys know, like a year before I left, I wanted to leave, and I just couldn't leave because I was scared of fucking leaving the attachment. But I left, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that relationship because I know uh, that in spirit, me and him, like, we're really good friends. Because when I first met him too, like, I recognized him, I knew him, and before I was even aware of this whole spiritual shit when I was 18, and I know we're really good friends, and I know that we chose to close some karmic cycle, I don't know, in this life. And it's crazy because I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's been 2 years since I left him, right? But or since we moved on. I don't want to say I left him, since we moved on. And I'm very grateful for it. Like, yeah, it hurt and it was a bitch, and we have no place in each other's life here in this human form, in this journey. But I know that when we die or when we go back home, we're gonna like meet up and be like, damn, we learned a lot of shit, because that was literally the foundation of like building me. Like, obviously I had to choose me, but it forced me to choose me. That and my dad and a lot of other like big relationships in your life, like attachments in your life, show you that you're supposed to choose you. And so that's why I say that attachments are the source of our suffering. Because especially with my dad, I love my dad, but I love him from afar, you know? I that attachment with him, I think early on though, I learned to not be attached, and obviously that caused a little heartbreak in its own and everything, and that was easier for me. That attachment towards my father hurt me, or my father this, because my dad's just a really hurt person himself, and his parents were hurting him, and you know what I mean? So he tried to love, but he didn't know how to love, and I'm getting off topic. And that attachment there, if I was forced to have that attachment there, and if I kept myself with that attachment, I feel like I would have kept that resentment. You know what I mean? I wouldn't been able to move on. Like I told you guys, I moved out when I was 18 because I was ready to release things and move on. I was ready for that. And some people stay like with their parents, even though their parents are hurting them, because they feel like they're obligated, an attachment. And it's crazy because every time you choose you from an attachment, from leaving an attachment, your life gets better. And it might not get better. You might not understand it in the first month, few years, whatever, because it hurts, right? But that hurting, that dark place, that in between is you growing, is you finding yourself, is you like there's a phase between the death of who you were and the in between before you can fully emerge as a butterfly, where it's confusing and it's hard because you finally chose yourself, but that means you got to keep trying to choose yourself. And after leaving attachments, you're finding out who you are. You're exploring who you are. You're learning. And I just want to talk about this because I know that this is something that a lot of us experience. A lot of us go through this in this life. Not just like with relationships, we go through it with a lot of things. I just wanted to give those examples because those examples are something that I've experienced. Those are something that I could only talk about because I know that that's something that, I went through. And yeah, sometimes, attachments, most of the time, attachments cause our suffering because we think we have to stay because they're family, because you've been with this person for many years. You think you have to stay. Attachment doesn't equal connection, and I think because a lot of us are scared to leave attachments because, like I said, we don't know who we are without that. And we're scared to figure out who we are. We're scared to unravel our own identity, the constructs of our own identity that was conditioned, that was created through all these years. And now when we leave, we have to unravel that. We have to understand that. We have to dive deep into who we are, because maybe who we are is a lie. Maybe who we are isn't who we really are. And so finding who we are and discovering that what we've been pretending to be is a mask, can be scary because you're going into the unknown, you're going into the void, you're going into the part of your life where you're starting from scratch. And at any age, that is scary, right? At any age, especially when you've been in an attachment for many years. Luckily, like I'm in my 20s, and I can start. Okay, you can start over whenever you want to start over. There's no age to start over. But I can understand how, you know, we as humans, we feel like starting over at an older age, it feels like it's too late because we wasted our life, right? But I think the little advice is, it's better to start over now than to never start over. At no matter what age it is, it's better to have a few years of yourself and your happiness than none, than being scared. And there's nothing wrong, there's no judgment, but it is true. A lot of us are scared to venture off into that unknown. And I've said this previously, like, I've always thought to myself, I don't want to be, and this applies to anything, not just relationships. It applies to attachments to, like, your old self, attachments to old beliefs, attachments to beliefs that are telling you that you can't do it, beliefs that are saying that you're not going to be wealthy, beliefs that are saying that, like, you're not good enough. You know what I mean? It's attachments to those. You got to release those attachments. And I've always said to myself, I don't want to be older or maybe on my last few days of here and look back at my life and think, fuck, like, I did not live this life for me. I stayed. I could have left. It was so easy to leave. I could have made so much money if I believed in myself. I could have followed my passion and said fuck society. Because I know that when you are on your last few hours here, your last few days here, you're going to look back and you're really going to think like, damn, I could have just done that. It was so easy. I don't know why it was so hard in the time. I don't know why I thought too much of it. I could have just done it. And everything comes into perspective. And yeah, I don't know. I just, attachments to things, belief systems, people, places, whatever it is, attachments are what is causing you to move forward on your journey. It's causing you to to cross the path of least of most resistance, I suppose, the most resistant path. And it's causing a lot of pain and heartache because we choose everybody else but ourselves. And for some reason, choosing ourselves is really, really hard, which I understand. I'm at fault to that. I get that. Choosing ourselves is really, really hard. Maybe it's meant to be hard because that's the lesson here we're supposed to learn. But choose yourself and know that the attachment is supposed to hurt when you leave. The attachment is supposed to maybe make you feel free. The attachment is supposed to make you feel like, fuck, finally I can breathe after you choose you. And maybe even make you feel sad and think about all the good memories, or think about, like the old you, or whatever it is that you're going through. It's supposed to make you feel that way because you're growing past it. And remember, the old us, our constant state of being, gets a little scared when we try to grow from it. So it kind of latches on your old thoughts, your old beliefs, the way that you would act. It kind of latches onto you when you're growing, because it's saying like, yes, I'm toxic, but this is who you are. This is who you've been, not who you are. This is what you're used to. So it's kind of grabbing onto you because it's toxic, but it's known. It's familiar. So remember, when you're growing past things, it's gonna feel some type of way, and that's okay. You're growing. Growth isn't growth without the uncomfortability. The good thing is that I'm uncomfortable, but I'm growing. Not I'm growing and it's uncomfortable. Like, no, it's uncomfortable, but I'm growing, and that's amazing. And remember, this journey is lifelong, and it's ups and downs, and you're always trying to choose yourself. And I don't know, I think that you have to learn on this journey, because you can be in a relationship, and it can be totally healthy, and you're still gonna have disagreements. Or you can, like, be in a place in your life, financially or spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is, doing something, a career that you love, that fulfills you, and you might have doubts. That doesn't mean that attachment, I suppose, you're not attached to it, that is holding you back. It just means that you're human, and You have a human brain, and sometimes we have doubts, and sometimes we go through things. You just know. You know when you need to move past something. You just know. You have that inner knowing. You have that pull, because it's gonna get louder and louder and louder until you can't take it anymore. Like, you know. And so I'm talking about that, those attachments. But yeah. And also, don't ever truly be attached to anything, because everything comes and goes. Phases come and go, like trees. Like fucking trees. Trees are a perfect example of how we change. Leaves fall, leaves grow. Leaves fall, leaves grow. The moon is a perfect example of change. And we're constantly fluid. And that doesn't mean we're not whole, because we are. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. Okay. I think that's it. I love you guys. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.